The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the whole busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation.
The Foundation is brought to you by Alive, Ancient Chinese Secrets, Bonneville Bones, Burger King, Carrie's Fabric and Uniform Store, Ceslin Pediatrics, Commonwealth Bank, Epic Battery, Grand Bahama News, Marco's Pizza, Printmasters, and Ron's Electric Motors.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation. It is a beautiful Friday afternoon. Bim! Warm and easy selected. It's a beautiful day. Grateful to be in your company. Always being able to do our absolute best in terms of being able to bring you fresh content all the time. Now, you know, for the entire week, we had a great opportunity to be able to talk to a tremendous amount of persons. And we're continuing with our sort of a concept, an idea as it relates to how do we find ourselves in the position for growth and development. Before I do that, I got to shout out my good and decent people over at AFS Insurance Agents and Brokers. They got everything laid out for you. Make sure you go and check them out. AFS Insurance Agents and Brokers. Road South. You go and check them out if you're in the market for your taxis, your jet skis, your liveries, and all those particular things. They can take very, very, very good care of you. Give them a call at 3411-AFS, 3411-AFS. Or if you're in that kind of a space and you're down there and you want to check them out, they are located in number 407 Blue Hill Road South. They can take care of you, man. They're in that kind of space. Make sure you check them out, and they can take very good care of you. Got a shout out to Ancient Chinese Secret, located on Shirley Street. Ancient Chinese Secret has everything laid out for you. Make sure you go and check them out. And if you are in the market for get these natural health products and you want to be able to find out more about it, you can go down there and ask Miss Yang. She can take very good care of you. Ancient Chinese Secrets is on Shirley Street. And all we've been having is testimonies for that. You got to give her a call at 557-1369. That's 557-1369. She's a sponsor for this week, and we're grateful to her. All those persons who continue to be able to sponsor the show and it's sponsoring what we do with. We're grateful for that, and grateful to you for being able to always be a part of what we're doing here on the Foundation. Guys, it's a beautiful day. Grateful to be in your company, as I always say, and always continuing with this conversation. Stay sober, Bahamas, right? And as we wrap it up, I wanted to be able to bring dynamism to the forefront. I wanted to be able to bring a dynamic concept, an idea that can be able to tell you about where we are. I want to be able to, like the FNM has done for a long time, trying to be able to lead off, to find an anchor to put it together. We know that he's always been able to tell us where the pepper is. In the Vaseline, he's always been able to tell us sort of an idea and give you dynamism and truth. In the midst of it all, he's been able to find real truth, or to deliver us real truth that all of us can be able to ingest and understand and align ourselves and agree with. He's always been one of the persons that can be able to speak with transparency, with honesty, and stand in a level of political integrity so he can be able to move forward. Guys, I want to be able to introduce you to not a foreign voice, a voice that is very familiar to our society, a voice that has been tremendous in being able to speak for the rights and the positions of the Bahamian people, a voice and a posture and a position that did absolutely wonderful in the last general election, a voice that we hope to be able to see return to frontline politics. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be able to introduce you to none other than Frederick McAlpine. Mac, what's happening, my brother?
Thank you so much, Howard Grant Jr. It is a pleasure to be with you once again on this station, 96.9. Radio, and it's good to say good afternoon to the people of the Commonwealth of the. And I do hope and pray that we would be able to enlighten and then somehow inspire those that will listen to us on today.
Thank you, man, Mac. I want to thank you for taking the invitation. A lot of persons I've reached out to those, and I felt it would do a disservice to, because this really was about independence. This is devoid of a conversation that has anything to do with the FNM or anything to do with the PLP, which is the traditional political elements in this country, but more specifically to do with the position of the Bahamian people and understanding how do we move forward? What is our plans? And we have to do that outside of the conditioning and the rhythm of what exists in those parties. So I wanted to do that, and I could not do this conversation without inviting you and other particular persons to come in here. So tell me how things have been happening since 2021. We've seen you. We've seen the pictures out of Grand Bahama. We see that you're still active. Talk to me about that.
Well, Grand Bahama is still here. We're on the ground, and we're constantly talking to people and trying to speak to the issues that affect people. And basically, and those things happen to be basically the pocketbook, the things that affect people from day-to-day living. And so that has been one of the things that I've been doing. I've also been constantly staying in contact with the constituents in the area of Pine Ridge and basically speaking to the issues that are important to people. So many times politicians speak, but they speak to issues that sometimes people just don't really care about. And that is you have to speak to people that relate to you, and they got to know that you're concerned about them personally as they seek to develop and achieve their lives.
Mm-hmm. You know what? And as you talk about the lives thereof, I don't think we have to go through the preamble of who you are. All those persons, if you don't know who Mac O'Pine is, I know that after this interview, you'll be well acquainted with who he is. But because we're limited for time, and because there is such a mammoth portion of land for us to be able to kind of travail to get to the objective, I want to dive deeper and very quickly into it. Mac, we know that in your particular capacity, you have really been the poster boy for political organizations as they led to campaigns. We saw you in the mid-2000s being able to really lead the FNM to victory and helping them secure a victory significantly. We saw you as a person that they always kind of pulled on and leaned on to be able to talk to the campaigns and bring that sort of dynamism to the forefront. Continue to be able to do that even into the next election. We saw you find yourself in an opportunity to be able to run for the constituency of Pine Ridge in Grand Bahama. And we saw you successful. We saw you indifferent, and there was a tumultuous position between you and your former organization, which is the Free National Movement. We saw you not necessarily take on, and you and I spoke about this, we talked about whether or not it would be a good idea to step back into a position of independence. And then when they recognize, because of your agitation, being able to step up and step into a position formally now that they could not deny you after your relentless agitation for one issue or another. They can't deny you this opportunity to be able to step into leadership and into management, right, into governance from a ministerial standpoint. Now, you chose a course that says, Howard, I'm going to relentlessly advocate for my people. I'm going to relentlessly advocate for my constituency. I'm going to be able to push the party in ways that the party can't even imagine. And you stayed in that position. And at the end of the day, you did not get your nomination. You did not get the opportunity to be able to represent the Free National Movement, but you did get the support of the people of Pine Ridge. You did get an overwhelming support, and they continue to be able to support you. Talk to me about that transition and how things happened that found you in a position that you're committed to ensure that you can be able to find things happen and still be able to show yourself a reasonable force within politics in Grand Bahama.
Well, in the last general election, I was able to gather some 1,175 votes, 1,175 votes, almost 1,200 votes, along Ms. Moxley by approximately 240 votes. Prior to that, Dr. Dowell held the seat. When I beat Dr. Dowell, I had to galvanize some 800 votes that Mr. Kwesi Thompson had lost to him by. And so I had to pick up 800 to 900 votes, and an additional picked up another 500 votes. So I was able to win that seat by some basically 5 and 9, some 1,400 votes. The truth of the matter is that we've been doing things politically for the last, let's say, some 50 odd years in this country. And I think people have become wary of the usual politics as usual. People are tired of the same old, same old. I think Grand Bahama, now I must say, Howard, because you also from Grand Bahama, let's be honest and quite frank. Grand Bahama, since the year 1972 election, I think it's 72, but perhaps it could have been 77, have been anti-PLP ever since. Ever since Mr. Kendall Knowledge lost the seat, and so Linda turned around and made Mr. Knowledge the Minister of Youth, Sports, and Culture, and basically from that time to now,
but
what has happened is
the relationship slipped from 69 with the Bend or Bake Street. It started to slip from then.
It started to slip, but yes, it did. And see, what has happened is Grand Bahama is uniquely different. Grand Bahama is what we call anti-PLP. And we say it's an F&M country. But I think Grand Bahama now finds itself in a precarious position because whereas they are still anti-PLP to an extent, they're not exactly happy of how they've been treated by the Free National Movement. And sometimes when I listen to the Free National Movement, I sometimes begin to wonder, they talk as if they're so, as the young people say, they sound so brand new, like they've never been in governance before. And so, they like to talk like, brother, you be like, hold on, y'all ain't never governed before. Y'all never had an opportunity. And hence, this is the kind of problem we're running into. People have become wary of this BS. And I'm not talking about Bachelor of Science, where, one come in and say one thing. And so we're now having elections where we're trying to say who was worse than who. But worse from worse to leave worse. And so the young people have become hit. You see, you're not, this is the me, manure, doo-doo. You know what I really want to say? And want me to believe it's peanut butter. And you're going to say, oh, well, you ain't PLP, so you ain't after that. He ain't after that, he ain't PLP, so he got to vote for me. No, it don't work like that, baby. Things have changed. You ain't gonna sit on my family. You're not gonna talk to me any kind of how and still expect me to turn around or you treat me like a second class and still say, oh, you gotta vote anyhow because you ain't with them other people. Yeah, I ain't with them other people, but damn it, I ain't with you either. Okay, so you have to get to the point where people have to recognize we've grown. This is not my great-grandmother time where you can tell me anything and I gotta just chew and believe it. We're smarter. We're wiser. We have internet. We're not barbaric and archaic in our deliberations today. And so what you don't know and you didn't learn in school, all you got to do is check Uncle Google and see what he's saying. And so this is a different time and a different setting. And unfortunately, these political parties do not recognize it. Now, the mere fact that I could garner some almost 1,200 votes in the last election tells you that people's mindset has changed.
That's why we got to talk to you. That's the conversation I want to have. This is an appropriate conversation. Let me tell you why. I start off because I needed to know. Mark, you hold on long. My God, you hold on to the F&M long. You know that there was an indifference. We even watched Rodney Monica take on a significant position after he didn't find himself successful with the F&M and say, I too old to be liking man, right? But Mark, you held on and you said that I am going to be the change in this. It didn't happen. after it all, Jenny, after it all, Marco Pine, you found yourself being able to be thrust in a position and you were being able to do those things. And listen, 1,200 votes is no light thing. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about this sort of an idea of how this happened.
Well, first of all, I did hold on long because I never crossed the floor. I never abandoned the FNM. To be quite honest, the FNM abandoned me, Howard. I never abandoned them. And when the PLP came to me and asked me to run, I said no, because I'm not PLP and I'm not going to join the PLP. That's not what I'm intending to do. But what it also showed was my integrity, that I was willing to stand up to the party. Now, people said I held on long, like you said. I did. Are you there?
I'm right here, Mark. I'm right here with you.
Okay, just trying to make sure. Yes, I held on long. But even though I held on, Howard, and I was denied the nomination, did I look like I was somebody waiting on the FNM? Did you notice that my paraphernalia and everything was on cue and ready to go?
Yeah.
Because I had already made up in my mind. I knew what they were going to do, but I was not prepared to run with them. And I was not prepared to write a letter asking for the renomination so that they could throw it in my face. Yeah, you say all of that and then you still turn around and begging us for the nomination. No, I wanted to stand on my own and I wanted to take responsibility and I wanted to represent the people of Pine Ridge, and to which I knew that I found myself on the right side of history, speaking for the right manner of things. Now, I did not win the seat, but I made a major dent. And today, I still am able to hold a significant amount of support, not just in Pine Ridge, but throughout Grand Bahama and indeed the nation. Integrity is the problem. And I feel that in order to beat the the Progressive Liberal Party in the next general election, it's going to take integrity. And people are asking the question, okay, what's going to happen? Because the FNM stood there and allowed certain things to happen in the country, certain things to happen in the party, and now they're coming to us brand new, like they wasn't there around the table with minutes. They wasn't there when these things were taking place. When I talk about integrity, what are you going to tell us about the cannabis bill? Darn it, you had the bill in your hand. You didn't pass it. They did. What are you going to tell us about permanent and pensionable? People was working for the government from Hubert Ingram time, got in under Hubert Ingram time, and never became permanent and pensionable until the PLP came in. What are you going to tell us? Oh, they put in the hospital in the back of somebody's yard. Well, at least they're giving us a hospital, huh? So I'm saying, how, in terms of integrity, how are you going to be able to defend? How are you going to defend the fact that we couldn't go to our people's funeral, but yet you let a dog come in to be buried?
Mark, is a lot. You got to let me take this commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark is getting hot, and I'm grateful to be able to have this conversation. We strategically wanted to have this conversation on a Friday. You got to let me take this commercial break and be right back.
Everything is bigger and better at Burger King Nassau. When you have a big appetite, BK has a royal deal for you. Get a flame grilled double Big King Jr. or an original chicken sandwich, plus 4 chicken nuggets, small fries, a drink, and a fresh baked cookie for only $9.95, including that. The royal deal was built for a big appetite, and at $9.95, including that, it's a steal of a deal. Go big and enjoy the BK flavors you love with the $9.95 royal deal at Burger King Nassau.
Great news! Ron's Electric Motors' new location on Cowpen Road, right next to Island Luck, is open Saturdays and Sundays. So for those needing repairs on electric motors, generators, welding machines, water pumps, battery chargers, electric lifts, transformers, and power tools, Ron's Cowpen Road location can have you up and running on weekends. Don't forget, you can still visit Ron's Electric Motors on Wolf Road and Claridge Road, and now Ron's new location on Cowpen Road. Dial 356-0249 or 323-5267.
The Grand Bahama News is available every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian. You can buy your local paper at Freeport convenience stores, Western Bakery, DeGregory's Fine Foods, and Bellevue Gifts. Now is the time to reach your Grand Bahama market with affordable packages, including print and digital. Call GB News sales representative Kavandre at 822-6717 or message him on WhatsApp for ad rates. Classified ads are now available every Tuesday as well. Keep up with everything Grand Bahamian every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian.
Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company. Excuse me, the foundation. Grateful to be in your company to be able to talk about this. Now, when we left off, we were starting to have a conversation. I know you guys are kind of scooched up in your car seats or wherever you are to trying to be able to get to the meat and potatoes of this. It can't be a farce. It can't be a concept. It has to be that the people are ready for change. After 1,100, almost 1,200 votes, just shy of 25 votes, just being able to lose out by 200 and some votes, Mark Opine as an independent candidate, going through trial and tribulation, going through ups and downs, is still here. He's still being able to represent it. He says he wants to be able to ensure that the purple rain reigns throughout Pine Ridge when he gets back and be able to do those particular things. I'm excited about it. Mark, I want to be able to talk about this, man. I want to take some time now to talk about that. When we left off, you started to talk about integrity. When we left off, you started to talk about this kind of an idea that speaks about the cannabis bill. That speaks about the fact that persons or the Free National Movement had an opportunity to be able to ensure that persons can be permanent and pensionable, and they didn't do that. There are many things that they didn't do. But now they do with a revived concept that if you give us a chance, again, to see some things happen. Talk to me from an independent...
Yeah, but okay, let's even take a look at Dorian. In Dorian, as good as Grand Bahama has been to the Free National Movement, you mean to tell me, what are you going to talk to me about what the PLP doing with the DRA now? You have the ability and the money and the opportunity and the governance to fix the houses out in East and throughout Grand Bahama. But you didn't in a very significant way. You did not do it. You left food in the customs warehouse in Grand Bahama while people was looking for food. What can you come and say? I'm not trying to damper. It's not that the PLP is any better, but I'm trying to show the effort. This is the hill. You lost people in 2021. Listen to this carefully, Howard. The Free National Movement lost people in 2021 after the general election, before the general election. After the general election, they lost some more folks. After their last convention, which was held in July of this year, they lost more folks. How you could win if you're so divided? Mm-hmm. The Bible tells you, if y'all want me to bring the preacher man out in me, a house divided cannot stand. Mm-hmm. So again, like I say, they act brand new. If you're going to try to win, you first got to unite. You got to bring forces together. But then you have to confirm to the people, why should they? Now, it's clear. Whereas I have garnered some almost 1,200 votes in this constituency and got more votes than people ran with the F&M in the last general election. But let me also say this. There's some 16,000 people, don't care what happened, every election, they don't vote for the PLP nor the F&M. They're the same people who voted for the DNA. They're the same people who voted for the COI and independence. There's some 16,000 people for some time now. I would say since the DNA ran the first time, there's some 16,000 people that don't care how the bucket tumbles. They're not going to vote PLP nor F&M. They would vote for anything else or something else. Now, one of the problems we've been having, someone says, okay, Mark, well, if this is how you feel, why haven't these other parties been successful? Well, let's answer that. would you give your Rolls Royce to your child to drive that never driven a car before?
No.
Okay. So you have people now who want to come with a party that's never served in a political organization, never held a position in a political organization, never stepped out to the forefront with any political party. Some of them have never even been in the Senate, so they don't even know how the House is going to operate. And you want me to give you the country? The Bahamas is not a Mickey Mouse club, and this is not a mom and pop shop. So people who are going to want to do this have at least have to have and to show some degree of ability that they have been affiliated with some kind of organization that can help them along. The person who came the closest and perhaps had he stuck with it might perhaps have been prime minister the last time around was the DNA.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they disintegrated. So for me now, my view is I'm going to focus on Pine Ridge. Now, can I say this to you, Howard? I believe that the country is ready for something new and different.
This is what I come here to talk about. You're ready to get
I believe.
You're ready to get 1,200 votes, nearly 1,200 votes. You're ready to then show yourself a force within this particular sector. We are on the crescent. We're on the wave of how things are shifting. And I'm not talking I'm talking about there's sort of a wave that says
we're on the precipice of it. And I believe that we're going to go one more lap. And when I say one more lap, the country's going to go one more lap with the traditional parties. And after that, the country is going to be ready for a third force. And the reason being true, let me be quite clear. One of the parties are going to die. These will die.
It's not like you're getting prophetic now. I don't know if you got your cloak on. I can't.
No, but yeah, one of the parties eventually will die. But you can see it. You can see it right now. One of the parties is basically at shambles right now. And it has hurt so many people. So many people have been turned off with the traditional parties that people are saying, look, give us something new. Give us something different. And that something different is coming. But I believe you got to first, let me tell you what one of the problems, I think, and I'm not trying to pick on the Free National Movement because I'm not PLP. I can tell you all that now. I'm not PLP. I respect the PLP. I respect whoever's in government that does something to benefit the people of the Bahamas. But my choice is not PLP. I have some struggles with the PLP. But even having been with the FNM, I want to tell you that the FNM is going to have some struggles convincing people that they're party for the average man. How do I say this? Under the PLP, everybody seems to be eating. Everybody seems to have their hand wherever they got their hand. But once the Free National Movement is in, it's always a perception that this is a party for the elitists. It is a party for a select few, and only a select few can eat. People have become tired of that. And it becomes difficult for people to say, you know, we bust our behinds for these parties, but at the end of the day, we get nothing but. And so people are now hit to the point where they say, we do not just want. It's like the politician, if it's dollars and cents, the politicians get the dollars and we, the people, get the cents. So we're going to have to move to this level. How do we now become looking at a party coming forward or an organization coming forward? People have become wary. The wariness of these parties and the fact that one party has basically lost its ability to galvanize people towards it tells you that there's a disintegration taking place in the political arena, Howard. And so how do we get there? We're going to need people with integrity.
But let me ask you, though, do you believe that this disintegration, that this apparent dilapidation will exist only within the Free National Movement? do you believe that the Free National Movement will be the organization to be eradicated in this new dispensation, this new wave and new thinking in the country? Talk to me about it.
If they don't get their act together, it's a movement, and that's what's happening. People keep moving and moving. It's almost a revolving door. One of the problems within this country, now there are some disgruntled PLPs as well, and there are people who don't see it. You treat my mom being a stalwart and Pa being a stalwart counselor, and you treat them like crap. And then you still, me who's the son and daughter, watch how you treat my mom and dad, and you still want me to vote for you. They too are looking for something. So it's the generation that's behind the moms and the grandmothers and the grandfathers that's coming behind that one. To be honest with you, people from the 60s have a different mindset. If you were born anywhere between 1960 to now, you have a different mindset. And that mindset is basically looking for something. People want to see the progress, you know. I mean, it took 50 odd years, Howard. This country, we've accomplished a lot. But isn't it sad that most of what we've accomplished was still accomplished under the late Sir Lyndon Bingley?
Yes. I want to say that. I want to agree with that. And I know that there's some people who would have served in various cabinets or even leadership prior would have been able to try to identify what we have done, what I have done with these particular things. But we're talking about the forward movement of the Bahamian people that gave them an idea, that gave them a vision, that gave them passion and a desire to be able to get up and move forward. We haven't had that since.
We haven't had it. We haven't. And basically, both parties have become what? Burdened and laden down with cronyism. That's what we've become.
Yeah.
Cronyism. That's all we've become. All parties, I hate to say this, y'all like to put this on one party. All the parties so far have become parties of lovers, friends. That's what they all become. And buddies. All of them. So basically, what have we? We still have anti-dated and antiquated laws. You talk about local government in the Bahamas, and you have none in Nassau where the majority of the people are. Why are we still talking about roads and lights and parks in the year 2024? Why are we still having to fix schools every summer when the Ministry of Education have a particular, or the Ministry of Education ought to have a particular grouping of people who work in the ministry? All they do is repair schools all year round. Why do I still, in 2024, still got to go to the passport office, go to the road traffic department, go to NIB and repeat the same things over and over? This is my address. This is my passport number. This is my driver's license. Why don't we have a national data bank? Why are we still talking about representation where you're looking for a handout rather than a hand up?
That's conditioning, Mac. That's the conditioning of the people. This is the expectation that the success that traditional political organizations and they continue to enjoy is based upon a path that they have beat down.
So when are we going to stop loving parties and political organizations and start loving this country and our community? And if that is the group that's going to come forward or needs to come forward. So in order to beat, and here's the problem, I'm trying to get to it, Howard, in order to beat the Progressive Liberal Party in the next election, it's going to take integrity. And here is the problem that the Free National Movement have to watch out for. If people get in the race with integrity, more integrity than that of the PLP and the FNM, they are likely, possibly, they can be the shocker in the next general election.
You think constituents, you think the electorate, you think those people in your constituency, the same people that when I went to Central Grand Bahama, and I walk up and down as a representative for the DNA and saying, vote for me, they say, yeah, Howard, I'll vote for you if you give me $100. But if you ain't got no money, Howard, you can forget about that. You believe that this money all for me, give me something, give me Mimi mindset that exists in our communities is now going to shift to look at the integrity of men and women who present themselves in their constituency. Talk to me.
Yes, because times have changed. When you did that, that was the embryonic stage. Since then, you've had a whole lot of new people with a different mindset that have traveled towards the United States and around the world. And if they can't go from there, if they can't do it physically, they can do it from the internet. They have a different perception now. People love their country. And people have recognized that we have been don't grow. We're not growing. We have reached a level where people, it's going to take, when they give you $100 now, then they basically paid you for the 5 years. They don't give you what they're supposed to give you. And people are now wising up that they want opportunity. Like, the government we in now, I like to call it the socialist government. They believe in giving you a fish rather than teaching you how to fish. And we have to get to the point where people want to create opportunities for themselves. They want to see better for their country. They want to see better for their children. And the rate in which we have been moving is not going to work, Howard. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work, Bahamas.
From what you said, if you're going to say that, Mark, and I look at it like this, if you're going to say that this socialist government, based upon what you're saying, this New Day administration who wishes to be able to give you a fish, that it says to me that they've moved very far away from their tenets, their pillars, their mission as if you can't fish, cut bait. And if you can't do that, get out the boat. There was always a position that you should contribute to the growth and development of the country.
From the death of Sir Lyndon Pennant, they moved away from the tenets.
That's heavy.
This is not the PLP that we knew. The PLP under Sir Lyndon Pennant, they had a group of men. They weren't perfect. But those persons, Sir Lyndon wasn't necessarily the smartest man in that group, There were people who were smarter than Sir Lyndon, but Sir Lyndon had enough security in his ability to bring people around him to help move the country forward.
Wow.
We are dealing with so much presently. We are dealing with insecure politicians. If you're smarter than them, they don't want you.
Wow.
If you can talk better than them, they don't want you.
Wow.
And if you can think for yourself, they don't want you. We are dealing with politicians today who want yes, sir, man, and yes, sir, women. People who are going to tell them, you're doing good, chief. Yes, chief. We need people who are going to love this country, love their community, love their people. We have made these politicians gods and little gods, and gods with a small g. We worship these people. We bow down to these people. And these people in there, first of all, you don't understand, Bahamas. I said the other day, Sir Lyndon made all kinds of millionaires in this country. But those same people who he made millionaires never looked up and bring nobody else up. And the leaders, the political leaders we've had since Sir Lyndon, it's been limited in the select few that they bring up. Because we're now dealing with politicians who are not going to want you to have more than what they got. You didn't hear me?
That's heavy.
If this is about dollars and cents, the politician's job is to get the dollars and to make sure the people get the cents. They don't want you to have more than that. I have a different perspective. Bring people up so that they can also help you in your community. Make it better.
Mark, I want to say this, because if we're talking dollars and cents, if we're talking about the fact that the politicians make the dollars, or the elites make the dollars, or the foreigners make the dollars, and we the people, we start to look at those numbers. 4 million people coming into the airport. The government celebrating almost 10 million people coming to the country. And as we identify those things, we're still seeing taxi drivers fighting in the front of LPIA. Now, I got to take this commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to be able to participate in the conversation. Let's be as decent as possible as we're doing this. Let's be decent, guys. Please, you can give me a call at 827-0111, 827-0111. Let's take a quick commercial break and be right back.
The foundation.
We'll be back right after this.
The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello. This Epic battery. This Miss Beulah from around the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, the foundation, on this beautiful Friday. Grateful to be in your company. It is a beautiful Friday evening. Hoping that you guys having a good time out there and being able to do all that you're doing. We got to be as decent as possible as we continue to do that. I got to shout out my good guy, Avery Liborn, out there with MTS, the Rebar. Guys, check him out. He has a lot of things going on. Well, we're here being able to sit down with none other than the Mac. And I suppose that this is Return of the Mac, right? Man,
yes, the Mac back.
The Mac is back. Being able to talk about that, and I'm grateful for that, man. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Bahama, having great conversation with us on our week of being able to stay sober, Bahamas, a conversation about being able to find those persons who are disenchanted with politics back into the frame of productivity and growth and development. Mac has put some significant things on the table. Mac O'Pine, I'll let you wrap up. Talk to me about this purple rain, this movement that you got going on in Grand Bahama, and how you can be able to get persons to wake up and step into the light.
Well, what's really important is I have to do all I can, Howard, to first of all win the Pine Ridge seat. And once I can win the Pine Ridge seat, then we can look at other things. But the truth of the matter is we need to recognize as a country, we need to get people who are integral, who love this country, not the party more than the country. We need people who love this country and are prepared to offer themselves. And we've reached a point. I would love to win Pine Ridge. And once I win Pine Ridge, and the Lord so graciously do that for me, and we're still where we are as a country, because I think we need the best and the brightest. We keep saying, man, I don't care if you put a dog in a yellow shirt or a red shirt, I can vote for a dog. Well, if you're going to vote for a dog, you're going to get doggish results. And they're going to handle you in a doggish manner. We can't just treat politics and governance so willy-nilly. We must recognize that we want people who have the integrity, people who love this country, people who want to make a sacrifice to give back to their country, and people who want to see values promoted in this country, family values, faith, economic empowerment. Being able, what's the use of saying, and I heard Howard mention this, what's the use of having 10 million people coming to the country and we can't feel it in our pocket? I mean, we don't control nothing in this country, not even tourism. When we look at our hotel, they're owned by foreigners. I mean, that's the reality. In Grand Bahama, the industry is dealt with by foreigners. Money's leaving this country left, right, and center by the billions. And so we're going to have to find a way to empower our people, to see to it that the economy is growing in a better direction based on people got to carry their fair load now. The rich can't continue to be. Oh, let me give you a perfect example. Howard, this is very important. Let me give an example. How do you say to me that the Port Authority owes you $357 million plus? Just an example. Let's say that was true. You let them owe you all of that in the first place. How do you go to Exuma and tell me that Sandals owes you $30 million? How did you allow them to get to the point to owe you $30 million and you threatening to shut down mom and pop store for $1,000? This is the kind of foolishness that we're going with in this country, and people say, you got to be joking. How do you F&Ms tell the people in Lightfoot Key that they got to pay a tax? You tax us 12%. They tell you, write you, and tell you cannot do that to them, and automatically they no longer have to pay a tax. But the rest of us in this country got to pay taxes. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. And this is where we've been governing. This is how we've been governing. It's time for that to change. We need a new mindset, a new concept. And we need people who genuinely love this stuff. We don't want people to go, when you send people to the house, they should be going for you, to represent you. These people we've been sending in the last 20 odd years been going for themselves.
Wow.
They represent themselves and they represent their pockets.
Well, Mark, in these last few minutes, I want you to let persons know, especially those persons who are listening to me from Grand Bahama, how they can be able to be a part of this significant thing that you got going. If you call it what you call it, but this gathering of people and gathering of a mindset that exists in Pine Ridge. Talk to me and talk to those persons how they can participate with their volunteer, with their talents, and bring it for the change that they wish to see.
Listen to me. The time will come when the bell will ring. If you're in Pine Ridge, you know how to contact us. 727-8817. Give us your number. Give us your contact us. Let us know. We're going to be looking for people with the same mindset, people who want to move forward. In Pine Ridge, I just want to. When I was your representative, Pine Ridge had national presence. When I was your representative, Pine Ridge was up on top, even over all the other constituencies in Grand Bahama. Pine Ridge was well taken care of. Pine Ridge, we didn't have you cutting bushes. We had you going to school because we wanted you to do better. And so we are going to encourage you to tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your people in Nassau, people in the Family Islands that are listening to the foundation. Call your friends in Grand Bahama and say, look, give McAlpine a chance. Make sure he wins this time. Because even if the PLP coming back, we want to make sure he's in the house to help hold their feet to the fire. We need his voice. We need his presence. We need his ability. We need his energy in the House of Assembly. And I want to encourage other people out there who, if you're interested in integral, then I'm here to tell you, if you have the right people running, they can give the PLP and the F&M a run for them, because I believe we're at that mindset now. We're at that mindset.
I like it, man. Mac, I want to thank you so very kindly for sitting with us and having this kind of a great conversation. You always bring energy, always bring insight, always bring passion, and we're grateful to be able to lend our platform to have this conversation. Guys, please reach out to McAlpine, 727.
Thank you so much.
8817, 727-8817 to find out more information from Mac. Return of the Mac. McAlpine, thank you so very kindly, my brother. I do.
Thank you so much.
We can pick you up on the other side.
And may I just say, finally, thank you so much, Howard, and keep up the good work, and may God bless.
Thank you, my brother. We do appreciate it. Guys, we're going to take this commercial break, get to news, and be right back after this.
Foundation.
The Foundation. We'll be back right after this.
The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation. Foundation. Foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, The Foundation. Live and in full effect on this beautiful Friday. Grateful to be in your company as we bring this week to an end. I'm grateful to be here with you. And in spirit, let's just be decent as possible as we talk like this. It was an absolutely dynamic week for me. I don't know if you enjoyed it the same way that I did in terms of the engagement of those particular conversations. Wednesday's conversation was phenomenal with ORG. Lincoln is always being able to really push the envelope. I think we got a few nuggets behind the cloak to talk about this sort of a concept and idea of why he did what he did, why he does what he does in that particular stead. And Housen Mutri, my God, he pushed the envelope. Listen, this was heavy on that particular day. And I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful. I really enjoyed the conversation with Ali and really enjoyed the conversation Kareem at the top of the week. And they were really, excellent in terms of being able to kick off the show with a great introduction of what we're doing and what the expectations can be or would be as we continue to be able to move forward. That was excellent. And you just heard from none other than Marco Pine. My God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you get the concept and idea behind it. I hope you get the concept and idea behind the desire. I hope you get the overarching view of what I was trying to be able to do. It's very peculiar. A lot of persons will take on the position to indicate that you're going against the norm, you're going against the green, you're going against sort of the layout that exists in this particular, the culture and the rhythm of the culture that exists. And as you continue to be able to go against these things, there is sort of an unspoken rule or an expectation that you'll be canceled. Okay, so this is terminology that we would have heard in the United States of America and coming out of North America. The concept of canceling is rich, it's real, and it's here. This kind of a do away with him, we've seen it in our society before. We've seen this victimization. That's canceling. That's the same thing. We've seen this sort of a rejection. We've seen this marginalized people who aren't able to be able to move forward and make things happen. We've seen these things. And so for me, I've identified this and I did my best to kind of structure the conversation in a way where there is a presentation of neutrality. I wanted to do that. Okay? I wanted to for persons to be able to realize that the voices that we've identified, the voices that came to the forefront to really talk about growth and development, the voices that gave us transparency were voices that we've seen agitating, advocating, and attached to formality, many of them attached to formality in one way or the other. You heard from Ali that she was a part of the PLP. You heard from Kareem that he was working with the PLP whilst they were in government in this particular capacity as a consultant. You heard from Lincoln. We all know his story associated with the Free National Movement and trying to be able to get in there and also being attached to the DNA, which in many identified as sort of an independent organization. We know that Housen Mutri has been in this particular capacity. The ORG, outside of the ORG, everyone has had some sort of linkage to traditional political format in this country. ORG is independent and separate and apart from this entirely. But outside of them, everyone had a linkage. I thought it necessary. I reached out to my very good friend, Branville McCartney, and he unfortunately was not available. But as I thought about it, and I said to myself, I don't know whether or not Branville's most recent agitation and his sort of public resurgence and being able to come back to the forefront has been tethered to Dr. Hubert Minnis. And so that agitation could be able to give implication, even though there was, in my mind, was not formality in terms of him actually joining the Free National Movement. There was a caveat. In the event that Dr. Minnis wins, I'll get back. And so that, for me, sort of disqualified him from an independent conversation. Definitely independent thinking, but this sort of an eager approach to kind of realign yourself. It seems as though there may be sort of an abort mission as it relates to along the lines of independent thought. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we could be able to talk about it further. Bran, when you're available, I'd love to have that kind of a further conversation with you, whether or not you're still on that course to talk about what needs to be done to agitate for those particular things, or whether or not the time that you've spent in the political wilderness, right, on the outskirts, whether or not that gave you sort of a clarity and you've had sort of a eureka moment to say that I need to be tethered to an organization. I'd love to have that kind of a conversation with you, but that's why I never really pushed it. And anyone who you saw me bring, that was the strategic approach that I've taken, right? And this is the same reason I didn't want to reach out to Andre Rollins, to Renard Wells. These are persons who've abandoned that independent mindset and really attached themselves to the formality and the cultural norms that exist around the political organizations of the day. And so I just wanted to kind of have an independent conversation. And I'm hoping that you guys understand what I was trying to do. This is not being, I don't want to slight, this is not a slight to anyone. This is not, I don't want to be disrespectful or condescending in any capacity. But I want to be able to speak with clarity about the expectations and the direction that we seek to go. And so that's where we are in that state. But this was a mammoth task to be able to piece people together. If you listen to some persons, maybe persons are traveling, this is summertime, but it's important. It's important for all of us to understand why we did this. It's important for all of us to understand why we need to take these strategic steps. This is not advocacy for or against any political organization. This is not me going against the PLP as a covert operation for the Free National Movement to perpetuate a mindset to separate from what's happening at the PLP. That's not what's happening here. This is not a strategic approach to be able to give you the idea of the possibility of these things and cause you to be able to deter you from your objectives of being able to look at this objectively, our political landscape objectively. That's not what this is. That's not what this is at all. What this is for me, for Howard, is just a question. The question as to whether or not we can do this by ourselves. Now, Friday last week, as I wrapped up the show, I did this recording right after the show, and I thought about it. The stories that I told, the ideas that I was, even if you didn't have an opportunity to be able to listen, you can definitely check us out, GuardianTalkRadio.com, GuardianTalkRadio.com, or check me out on Spotify, The Foundation, Howard Grant on Spotify. You can be able to find that, right? But the story that I tell you associated with leadership in the country, the story that I tell you about the fact that I've gone off and identify finances, capital, the wherewithal, and sought to bring it back here. That's where the red tape begins. And this is, I've never spoken about it before until last week. Maybe mentioned it, but never got into depth and detail. And this is why we need independence. I feel like members of parliaments are they're lackluster and lousy. There's no two ways for me to say that. When you could sit in a constituency, don't identify the difference, or you can't identify the problems, the mounting issues in your constituency, and see solutions. That you're sitting in a visionary capacity, that you are at the forefront. We talked about rising and falling on leadership. We talked about the fact that it all rises and falls on leadership. We spoke about that. We spoke about the fact that after it's all said and done, it ends and begins with leadership. See, Alan had he and I had a conversation, and he started to have this kind of this chat about Michael Pintard being the person that can be able to change this all. Now, that might be the truth, but we've heard that before. We've heard it before. We've heard this proverbial Moses. We heard a Savior. We heard a Joshua generation. We heard the transitions that need to happen. We heard, yeah, he has good proximity with this one. We heard that we like his youth, his ideas. We heard it all. We heard it all. We also heard a former prime minister come with hat in hand and indicate that he's sorry and give him another opportunity. We've heard it all. We've heard our former prime minister and the person of minister indicate that the next time is for you. We've heard it all. Now, how am I to beat Michael Pintard with this switch? No. But I must tell you that there cannot be political sublimation that causes you to move from one state and skip over the middle state into another state. You can't go from solid to gas. We must travel through the liquid. And what you seek to do is have this sublimation of conversation. You want to be able to skip over some stuff. You want to skip over the proverbial water, which is the representative in your constituency. Talk to me. This is what this conversation was about. This is what it's about. It was about being able to identify and scrutinize the representation in the constituency, the convictions that exist within the confines of our constituency, the choices that we make, and making those choices with sobriety, making those choices with a very clear understanding that this man or woman is what we need in West Grand Bahama. This is what we need in Bain and Grandtown. This is what we need in Centerville. This is what we need in Freetown. This is what we need in Seabreeze, in Elizabeth. This is what we need in Yamacraw. This is what we need in Golden Isles. This is what we need. This is what we need. But you can't do that if you are drunk. You don't know what you need. You need a honey-do list. Let's be decent about it. You need a honey-do list. You're worse than us, right? As men. Our wife sent us to the store. We don't know what the hell she said. Our minds are all over the place. We walk in there. I have to walk through every aisle and hope to God I'm reminded of, oh, yes, we need this. I went in there to spend $5. Later, I'm biting my nails, hoping to God I get it. And I take everything home. Oh, you did well, but you did not bring what I sent you for. Bananas. This is where we are. We can't do it dazed and confused. We got to get back to sobriety. And sobriety is just pushing all the distractions aside and getting back to it. Does these people have our best interests at heart? FNM or PLP? Do they have our best interests at heart? And I'm not saying to you to choose the individual who will, for some reason, come to you and lie. Your spirit then tell you this person is a liar. Your mind has already said to you, watch out for this one. He's a liar. Your gut said that to you. Now, with the words that they're trying to give you and this rhythm they hit you with, your mind trying to justify your initial observations. and trying to realign you. The devil is a liar. We're going with what is right. But let's do it in sobriety. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the show. Hope you're enjoying these particular things. When we get back, I know that you want to call in. I know you want to be able to contribute. Like I said, you can hit me up, 827-0111, 827-0111. We're here, we're live, and we're jamming. I'm grateful for the opportunity. Let me take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
It's getting hot in Marco's, and we're bringing the heat straight to your doorstep. We're giving you a fiery food experience like never before. Try our new sizzling fiery flavors featuring Reaper cheese on our fiery pozzolis, pizzas, cheesy bread, and pizza bowls. Can you handle it? Taste the heat and order one now at marcospizzabahamas.com.
Mommy, guess what I did in school today?
Hold on, sweetie. Mommy's sending a text.
But Mommy, my teacher said that you're not supposed to text and drive.
I know what I'm doing.
Oh, look, Mommy, the Smith twins. Mommy, watch out!
In 2017, approximately 54 people died as a result of traffic accidents. A percentage of these fatalities occurred as a result of texting while driving. Just taking your eyes off the road for 5 seconds can increase your chance of crashing. Remember, even the smallest voice counts. Texting. Brought to you by UB Radio and Guardian Radio 96.9.
Bonneville Bones, established in 1970, is the leader in men's fashion in the Bahamas. We're conveniently located in the mall at Marathon and the Harbor Bay Shopping Plaza, and fully stocked with everything you need for all occasions. Our Harbor Bay location is one door north of Alive, with the black and white signage of Bonneville Boutique. Both locations are open from 10 to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Bonneville Bones and Bonneville Boutique, still the leader in men's fashion, located in the mall at Marathon and the Harbor Bay Shopping Plaza.
It's time to upgrade the way you enjoy at-home entertainment. Alive Fiber is here. Enjoy all your favorite channels and streaming lightning-fast internet speeds with affordable bundles, and it's only a click away. Visit www.alivefiber.com to sign up now. Stay connected, live your life. It's good to be alive.
Looking for a supplement which can be used daily without side effect? Give Ginseng Royal Jelly and Panax Ginseng Extract a try. They contain high active proteins and vitamins. It can prevent cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases, significantly increase energy and stamina, restore libido, sharpen memory, balance endocrine system, and prevent cancer. Recognize the blue bottle as authenticity. For more information, call 557-1369. Ancient Chinese Secret.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company. The Foundation live and in full effect. Grateful to be with you. Grateful to chop it down with you. Got to shout out my good, decent sponsors for the entire week. We got to give it up for none other. She's going to be sitting with us in September. None other than Ms. Yang, all the way from down there at Ancient Chinese Secret. She's located on Shirley Street. Guys, go down there and check that thing out. We talked about it. I told you that we've had an opportunity to be able to take some of those aloe, that beetroot, spirulina, that reishi, all those things. Great stuff. I'm energetic. I'm hoping that my wife can be able to counter that energy with a very clear understanding that she needs to take her pills. Amen. That just would be decent as I say this. I just would be decent as I say this. So shout out to my good, decent friend over there, Ms. Yang at Ancient Chinese Secrets. She got everything laid out for you. You got to go and check her out. Got to. Go and check out Shirley Street, right across the street from Thompson Trading. You can get everything. Let her know where you are. Get natural stuff and get those things taken care of. Also, Sesson Pediatrics. I got to shout out my girl. She is absolutely wonderful at what she does. She's patient. She's kind. She is involved. She is a participant in this. It's just not this sort of an idea that you exist in this particular space and that's it, right? She is really being able to assist the best that she can. And I want to thank her. I want to thank her for her commitment. I want to thank her for all that she's done and being able to assist us in those areas. It is absolutely wonderful. And I'm speaking of none other than Dr. Yashika Seymour Hanna from Cessna Pediatrics. They're located just like you're going on top of the hill close to ZNES in that 4-story building right there to the left-hand side. She's on the 4th floor, Cessna Pediatrics. You can get more information. Check them out online. Cessna Pediatrics, all the information's in there. You can be able to find out more from them, and they'll be more than happy to assist you in that stead, in that space. Okay? So that's Dr. Yashika Seymour Hanna. And guess what? She has more than one doctor in there. So you can go in there, you don't necessarily have to see her. These are qualified, capable. All of those persons share the same spirit. And that's the sort of the idea of productivity and what you expect when you get into this particular space. It's quiet. And this is where my children go. This is my children's pediatrician. So I just want to let you know that. I'm just grateful to all those persons who continue to be able to support us. And know that, when I come to support your business, that there is significant reciprocity there. But I got to talk nicely about these things because this is where I truly go to get my service. I'm grateful to you, grateful for the opportunities that you guys have given us in that particular stead. So when we go, I just want to be able to talk about something. I just want to do this. I wanted to be able to talk about notable independent candidates. Over the course of time, I wanted to talk about this. We've seen some things. We have been indifferent with being able to identify this, but these are some notable candidates. Now, some candidates have transitioned from one space to another, and they aren't necessarily at the forefront, or they have put themselves at the forefront as an independent or outside of the traditional political organizations, and then got into politics, right? So it goes against what I said at the top. But I wanted to be able to identify these people from a historic standpoint. Now, these aren't all, but don't fight me. I just wanted to kind of talk about that. The first person I wanted to talk to you about is Sir Randall Fawkes. Okay? His constituency was Fort Montague. He was elected an independent in 1967, and he played a crucial role in forming the first black-led government, the Progressive Liberal Party, breaking the tie between the PLP and the United Bahamian Party, the UBP. Also, Dr. Elwood Dollison, the late Dr. Elwood Dollison, constituency. His was Cat Island, 1992. His votes received. The specific numbers aren't really readily available, but I was trying to be able to get that information from you. All right, Whitney Bastian, South Andres, 2002-2007, successfully elected as an independent candidate, particularly notable in the 2002 election. And Tennille Burrows, who's just recently been able to put herself as an independent in West Grand Bahama, is one of those persons who've been able to do that also. Always excited to have those kind of conversations and really talk about that. Cecil Wallace Whitfield. The party at the time was the Free National Movement, which was outside of the traditional organization, later merged to form the FNM, and this was in the early 1970s. He broke away from the PLP, and he formed the Free PLP, right? The Free PLP. It says here the FPLP, right? The Free PLP, which later became a foundation of the FNM. Rodney Moncur, which he started the Workers' Party. This is very important that we know the history associated with these things. His constituencies was various constituencies, including Baintown and his elections and multiple elections through 1990s and 2000s. The significant independent figure who ran on a platform who focused on workers' rights, right? And Gregory Moss. Remember Gregory Moss? Gregory Moss. His party was the United Democratic Party, the UDP, and his constituency was Marcos City, right? The election was 2017. This is just after he would have had sort of the, this is when we saw a lot of things happening within the PLP. We saw a lot of shifts happening within the PLP. And at the time, he broke away from the PLP to form the UDP, United Democratic Party, and then he emphasizing a new political direction. Brownville McCartney, Democratic National Alliance, the DNA, constituency was Bamboo Town, and this was in the early election was 2012, 2017. The significance was that he founded the DNA as a third-party alternative to the FNM and the PLP. Arinthia Komalafe, who is the DNA, she ran in multiple constituencies, and her significance, she was the successor of Brownville McCartney in continued effort to establish the DNA as a viable third-party alternative, right? Cassius Stewart. I've been trying to get Cassius, just as a sidebar, I've been trying to get Cassius, trying to have this kind of a conversation, but I see that he is not in country at all. So this is one of the persons I'd love to be able to speak with. I'm sure that when we get an opportunity, we can do that on the air. But Cassius, he started the Bahamas Democratic Movement, the BDM. His constituency was various constituencies, including Elizabeth. I think he was also in Eleuthera at one point. And then his election year was multiple years. He committed himself from the 2000s to be able to do these things, right? He founded the BDM aimed at offering a youthful, energetic alternative to traditional politics. Loretta Butler Turner is the Free National Movement in the constituency for Long Island in 2017. She ran as an independent, like I said, after leaving the Free National Movement, advocating for a new political approach. This is heavy. It is. It is heavy, and I'm sure that I'm leaving a tremendous amount of persons out. We know the plight and the commitment that Omar Schmidt would have made from an independent standpoint. We also know the push and the commitment that Andre Rollins would have made in that particular state. We know what Chelly Moss would have done from an independent standpoint. There are so many names. There are so many names I can be able to call and identify. We know what Adrian Francis would have done in that particular state when he started his organization, the Sovereign Bahama Movement. We know these persons, and we know their hearts. And we want to be able to say to you, keep on advocating. Keep on pushing, man. Guys, I got to say this to you. I know that sometimes it could be hard. Howard Grant ran in 2012 for the Democratic National Alliance in Grand Bahama. And that monkey wouldn't get off my back. My God. That thing keep following me even when I try to get back in the FNM. They say, ain't this a DNA? Howard and you is a DNA? Why don't you leave me alone? Huh? Why don't you leave me alone? You're all asking the leader to come back to the DNA, and you keep fighting me. Why you all don't leave? You just say want me. Hey, okay, I'll accept that. Let me take my Georgie bundle and leave. No, I joke with it, but the truth is that going independent is not easy. Making a decision to be able to present yourself as an independent candidate is not an easy one. And independent doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't an alliance, a coalition, and a sort of an allegiance to each other who share in the same spirit and idea that you have outside of the proverbial safety, because there's a safety net, there's a social safety net associated with traditional politics. So the FNM and the PLP, there is a safety associated with that. There's sort of an idea that you're being able to keep yourself guarded. And that's just what it is. When you decide to step outside of that safety, you decide to be able to separate yourself from that and say, I'm going to wing this on my own. When you decide to be able to say, Jesus, if that's you, then beckon me unto you, then call me. As soon as you step out, you realize that the raging tides, if you don't stay affixed on your goal, you will sink. This is not easy. And to all those persons who like to talk and never even made a commitment to doing anything of this sort, we say to you, just take a try. Just take a chance. You could squeeze $400 together if that's the case. But don't just come here just for recognition. Come with a vision. Come with your heart. Come with passion. And even then you will see how unrelenting and sometimes how unforgiving our Bahamian electorate could be. This conversation that we're having is not about being able to chastise those persons who've made decisions to be able to join any political organization. This is not to chastise the voting electorate who's taking on a position to be able to vehemently challenge and stand up for their political organization, rather. But this is a conversation to be able to enlighten you. This is not easy, and there is a need. There's a need for this. It's not casual. There is a need for this. We need independent thinkers. We need people who don't necessarily have an allegiance to any political organization. We need people who have vision and a passion for this. Housen Mutri indicated that he's a believer in the fact that if you're vying for a constituency, if you're going to stand up and stand out in this particular constituency, then you should be from that constituency. That was a little bit hard for me. That was a little much for me. That was a little much for me. Leadership and the Bahamas as a whole, we wouldn't see a great deal of leaders that emerged and did well for the country if it wasn't for an opportunity to be able to sit in another constituency. Because sometimes your own reject you. Maybe it was the one who used to steal the mangoes. But we don't know that. Whatever it was. Sometimes your own may reject you, but that doesn't mean that you don't have anything to offer. This is still a rich democracy. So I hear what Housen's saying, but I don't know whether or not I can be able to devour it entirely. I'm going to be decent with that. And I want to say that to you. As I look over this, as I look over this information, as I understand this, and you can find out more if you want to from, if you want to be able to take a deeper dive into the history and the voter counts and all those specific details of these candidates and their constituencies and all these other things like that. You can also go and check them down at the Parliamentary Registration Department. They got depth and detail. You can check it out on Caribbean Election Database. You can also be able to check them at your local newspapers, the Nassau Guardian, the Tribune, can have these archives and help you get more information on these particular things. Also, the University of the Bahamas, the Harry Seymour Library, which I called, and it was able to make it. So we did all our information right here in-house and being able to do that, right? But hey, listen, if you want to find out more about it, this is very interesting, man. There are men and women that serve this country in, in great, great style and this pizzazz, and, they serve this country well. They really did. And we got to be able to commend them, because sometimes a lot of their names go into the abyss, almost into the sea of forgetfulness after they lose. For the most part, a lot of us only remember the victor. Is that true? Am I lying? A lot of us only remember the victor. And in many instances, there are some losers that win. Oh my God, I just want to be decent. That was indecent. I structured it wrong. There are some persons who don't have that social popularity that find themselves in the victor's column in various constituencies, but your name is still lost in the, if not in the river, in the banks of the shores of the unknown. No one knows you. You haven't taken the time out to be able to contribute to that. But there are a great deal of people who still have a great deal of passion, heart for this community. Go check them out, man. Check them out. Like I said, whether that's the Parliamentary Registration Department, Caribbean Election Database, and that's a comprehensive database on elections, including third parties and independent candidates. Caribbean Election Database. You can find out more information from that. Be able to find out information from local newspapers, like I said, or the University of the Bahamas. You can find out this information. I hope to God that you're interested. I really do. I hope that you're interested enough to being able to stay sober. I had to say that. And the sobriety in this particular stead that we keep talking about. Howard, what do you mean stay sober? I told you that it's an acronym. I told you that it's just not this sort of a casual conversation. I told you that it's an acronym. That we wanted to be able to find out the strength of who we are as a people, and understanding that we must get back to this base, right? Our strength. We understand that there are opportunities that sometimes evade us that we got to be able to get back and capture. So there's opportunities. It's strength, opportunities, balance. One of the issues that we have is that we are off. Like we've been going for a long swim, and what is in our ears now, we feel like our equilibrium is off. We may have been able to have a little trauma. over the issues that we've had over the past decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, with economic issues, with health issues, with immigration issues, sorry, with education issues. Yeah, we're imbalanced in this society. We got to get our balance back. And empowerment. We've often heard, especially the last administration, take on this very strong position of being able to identify creativity and give them an innovation and empower them, give them an opportunity. We've never seen that. We've never seen that. We heard about it. We've never seen that. But we get back to that. And renewal. I think that there's a stench, a stale, stagnant stench that exists in this space. And for us to understand how we get back to being able to realign ourselves fresh with our perspective, fresh in our mindset, fresh and eager with enthusiasm, ready to be able to move forward, we got to be able to renew. When I ran in West Grand Bahama and Bimini, there are persons kept coming up with all sorts of concepts and ideas associated with it. You know, people just come up with all these themes and they wanted to be catchy this and all these. I didn't want to do that. I ain't trying to be catchy with nothing. I need you to understand what the objectives is here. We need to renew, we need to revive, we need to restore. That's it. That was all I said. Renew, revive. It's time for us to be able to understand that it's going to take some revival, restoration, and renewing for us to get back to where we're supposed to be as a people. All right? So we're here, guys. It's all about an independent initiative realigning a nation disenchanted with traditional politics. I'm grateful for the opportunities, guys. I got to take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
The Foundation with Howard Grant will be back right after this.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you the choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic Eckert Battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
Carrie's Fabric and Uniform Store wants to get you ready for back to school.
No fool, stay in school. They have ready-made uniforms and uniform fabrics for almost every school in the Bahamas.
At Carrie's, find skirts, blouses, shirts, jumpers, boy shorts and long pants, neckties, socks, and more.
You can even have your uniform skirts custom made.
Check out our selection of embroidered cotton shirts.
That's Carrie's Fabric and Uniform Store on Mackey Street.
Call us at 393-0758 or 817-0758.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk. Always.
Foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company. We are approaching the finish line. This has been, I feel like I got to do this. I said that. I feel like I got to do this at least once a quarter. I think we need to be able to identify something and stretch that thing out far and wide once every 3 months. At least once a quarter, going forward. We identify the topics, we stretch ourselves far and wide, and we execute according to, what the information says. We bring some people on locally and being able to chop it down. I think it's important that we do that. I really think it's important. I think it's really important that we take the time out to be able to do that, because I feel like this was informative, it was engaging, it was concentrate. I know sometimes, for me more specifically, it can be overwhelming, man. I mean, it is be overwhelming. Now we're finding issues with crime, sex, drugs, murder, crime, money, power, disrespect, tradition, culture. These are the rhythm of things that happen on the surface of our papers and in our public domain on a day-to-day basis. It is exhausting. And I don't know whether or not I want to be a participant in just being able to talk about that. I really, really want to talk about solutions, right? I want to talk about solutions and talk about how we can be able to move forward. I think it's important. How do we move forward? How can I participate, right? Howard Grant, in his particular capacity on radio, can be able to amplify these things on a month-to-month basis, on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis. However we decide to do this, whatever frequency we make a determination that we want to use, that you feel like, okay, Howard, this is not overloading, this is good. This is not overbearing, this is good. This is sufficient, I like this. And we determine that. But how do you get involved independently, individually? Let's talk about that. There's some things that you can do. And getting involved in local politics in terms of being able to pursue an idea and becoming an independent candidate, if this is what you want to do here in the Bahamas, that's truly a commendable thing for you. I want to be able to talk about that. There's a couple of things that I've kind of stretched out that I want to talk about that says that you can do these things if you want to be able to be a part of what we're doing. It's more than just being able to find $400. Educate yourself on the issues. Stay informed. You got to stay informed. Immerse yourself in local and national issues. Immerse. Read news articles, attend town hall meetings, and engage in discussions about the topics that matter to you in your community. Whether that's healthcare, education, immigration, economic development, lack thereof, crime, whatever it is, get involved. Educate yourself in that. I'll give you a little story and insight. Like I tell you, my father, he works at the Freeport News, right? And in working at the Freeport News, or he worked at the Freeport News in Grand Bahama when they were there. And in working at the Freeport News, he would bring papers home. He just threw it. They say, read that, boy. Make sure you read the paper. I would always go for the funnies and the articles. And even at the time, horoscope. I don't bother with that now. That's a whole different story. But even at the time, horoscope. Anything but being able to read this kind of a humdrum thing. I wasn't interested in that. I was not. I was not interested in it at all. But then I found myself in this kind of a position where my mother was involved in politics. And I listened to some very, can I say it, fool. I really want to say asinine. It was illiterate arguments where persons were supposed to be talking about issues that surround our communities. And they found themselves trying to engage in conversations, talking about something that happened to this one or that one. As a child, I said, I don't know if I want to participate in politics. And then I read national news. And I really, from Grand Bahama, this is why I told you I knew these guys on the radio. From Grand Bahama, I would sit in Grand Bahama and listen to Otland. I listened to Darryl. I listened to Steve. I listened to so much persons, right? And just reading. And sitting in Grand Bahama, I listened to Juan. Right? And I just kept listening to Juan. And listening to him, I gravitate to, I said, well, this is balanced. His approach is balanced, tempered. He gives a great argument. I like the approach for these particular things. And so I started to ingest more information. I got deeper into the studies. I started to hang out with these old persons. I wanted to find out more and more and more. That's the only way that I found myself as a participant in these things. That's it. You find yourself falling in love with an idea that you're pursuing. And sometimes it feels like you're just pursuing a ghost, that you become so close, and as you stretch out, you get nothing. I think that that's sort of the feel that a lot of independents have. But I believe that that's going to become a solid something to hold on to. One of the things that Max said at the top of the hour was that he believes that the next general election, not this one is coming, the next one after that the country will be prepared and ripe and ready to make a choice to be able to move towards independence. That's heavy for me. You know why it's heavy? Let me tell you why. Because whilst he's saying it, whilst he is indicating that he believes that in the next general election, not this one, that the people will be ready. What's heavy for me is that he's not giving me the caveat. He's not giving me what he believes will happen between this general election and the next. For the Bahamian people to detach themselves after 50-some years away from the rhythm of familiarity, for Bahamian people who, when they get drunk on Friday and they have a headache out of this world, they promise God that they will never drink again. And sure enough, next Friday, they back at it. This is the rhythm of our society. This is the accessibility that we have. This is the familiarity. This is what we've identified as coming of age, many of us. This is what we've seen. This is what we do. And so for Mac to say that these people, our people, who only do things by conditioning, will move away from this conditioning, it says to me that something stronger has to be afoot. That there has to be calamity and devastation. That there has to be brokenness of mammoth proportions for Bahamian people to sober up, to wake up, and make a decision that's for the betterment of their constituency. Now, let's just be decent. I'm not here saying that everyone who wears a red shirt or yellow shirt are the devil. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying to you that a lot of persons in these traditional political organizations have been sent to you, and they don't have heart or passion for your constituency. That's all I'm saying. And in the event that you use your discernment with your sobriety and you identify that, you are now awakened to make a better choice. That's all this is. So I want to talk like that. Like I said, the first thing that you can be able to do is educate yourself on the issues. The second, engage with your community. I mean, to move towards these things is engage with your community. To move towards an idea of being able to realize your participation. How do you participate in this thing? Second thing, engage with your community. You get involved locally. You participate in local community groups, your nonprofits or your advocacy organizations. And this is strategic. And I can say this, and a lot of brothering may not necessarily agree with what I'm saying. Persons participate in local community groups, nonprofits, or advocacy organizations. These are deliberate and tethered to the specific growth and development of the community itself. These are designed strategically to be able to assist the community. A lot of persons in our society join fraternities. They join lodges as sort of a rock, a shield, a safe place, a hub for themselves, not necessarily entertainment. And I'm sure you're not ready to get into this deeper conversation with me. I'm sure you're not. I am sure you are not ready for me. I am sure. But I'm going to say this. There has been this thing in our society that, first and foremost, men want to be attached to a grouping. They want to be identified. And these organizations and groupings, these fraternities that that are formed in our society are formed in such a way where they provide you with economic relief. They give you the idea of economic empowerment. By joining my fraternity, joining this particular lodge, joining this, and this, that you become economically empowered. I'm going to give you a quick story. We got maybe 10 minutes before we get out of here. So I'm going to be this very quick. When I first came to Nassau and working closely with the Free National Movement, working with them, I found some good friends in the Free National Movement. Some who I still hang out with and hail on a regular basis, and some who have become sort of distant. Now, one of the young persons who was sent around me, right, we become very familiar after I was hanging out with the guys. One of the younger persons, he was in the lodge. He knows who he is. He's still here. He's still around. He's probably listening right now. He was in the lodge. And I'm not going to tell you something that I didn't tell him. I told him this straight up. And so we would go out, and I didn't like to drink too much wine. Like, I would drink wine, and they would drink beers and stuff. Like, I would hang out, drink wine, and probably have a cigar. This is what I did when I first came to Nassau. I haven't had a cigar in maybe 7 years, right? Nonetheless, here's the story. Let's go. So we're in the bar. We're sitting down. I'm drinking cranberry juice. I'm having a cigar. I'm listening to the old fellas. We're sitting down here having a conversation. I'm chilling out. Every time one of his lodge brothers come in, he flip his cup upside down and show one side, and the lodge brother roll their eye. The lodge brother roll their eye. The lodge brother said, oh, Jesus, not this dude again, right? Every time he show you the distress signal about the fact that he hasn't had a drink, right? So I look at him, and I look at his lodge brother, and I say, wait. Oh, what now, man? You don't worry about him, man. Don't worry about it. This is what he says. So he comes to me, he says, Howard, you should join my lodge. So I say, I must join your lodge? So he said, yeah, you should join my lodge. So I've seen his lodge before. Guys, don't fight me. If you don't know who I'm talking about, and you know who I'm talking about, don't fight me. This ain't an indictment on your lodge. This is an introduction, and this is based upon perception, what I said about your lodge. Let's just be decent.
The foundation. Foundation.